Hey, everybody, we are live. I've got two great podcasts lined up tonight, Yelling from the Couch from Cincinnati and Just Chat with Uncle Dominic all the way from Taiwan. My judges are Dr. Jaime Raygoza and Tina Hoang. Let's hear that theme music.
We're asking the experts, we're all on a mission to rise in the rankings and outshine the competition. Welcome to Rise and Outshine.
All right, we have a special episode tonight. I want to go right to meeting my judges tonight. We'll start with the order they came in tonight. I have Dr. Jaime Raygoza all the way from Orange County, California. Dr. Jaime, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me here. Super excited.
Yeah, so glad to have you here. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your business, your consulting agency, and we want to know more about it.
Of course. My name is Dr. Jaime Raygoza. I'm a psychologist and I focus in human and organizational psychology. I do consulting and life coaching at Raygoza Consulting, a business that I started. And I also have my own podcast, Finding the Unicorn in You. So my goal is just to inspire others to tap into their inner potential and be the best version that they can be.
Awesome. It makes you a great judge for this show because we're going to help people, rise and outshine. We're going to find out, what can people do to excel in their podcast journey. And I'm so glad to have you here. I will have all your links in the show notes with the description. And the best way if people wanted to connect with you is it through your website or, how can we reach out and get more information?
Of course, they can either email me at info@raygoza-consulting.com or go to my website at raygoza-consulting.com.
Sounds good. All those links will be in the show notes. Over to our second judge tonight, Tina Hoang of the Courageous Inner Beast podcast. Tina, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today. We appreciate it.
Tell us a little about the Courageous Inner Beast. That's a great podcast. I listened to a couple of episodes, couple of segments. What can people listen to when they come to or expect when they come to your show?
Generally, it's so my podcast is mainly a storytelling platform where women come on to be guests and just share their story point blank. It's unfiltered, uncensored. Like we give no about what their story is about and just be here in the present moment and have them share their story and just disregarding any taboo words, topics, just disregard those and just talk about it anyways.
0 F's given. And the best way people can connect with you and find the podcast?
Yes. So the podcast, The Courageous Inner Beast, is on all platforms such as like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all the little ones such as iHeart, Amazon Music, and so forth. And you can find me on Instagram and Facebook and on my website. It's all the same handle. So it's Tina, Tinao, and my last name is Hoang, Hoang. So.
Very good. We'll get that into the show notes. Now, are we ready to judge our first two shows tonight? We're going to start with Uncle Dominic, and Uncle Dominic can't be here tonight because his show is in Taiwan, is where he records at. And what we do for every show that comes on here is we want to give them some feedback. We want to give them some points, and we're going to judge based on these 5 criteria. So if you're watching the live stream, you can scan the QR code you see on the screen right now. Or you can type in menti.com and use the code that you see at the bottom of the screen. And what we're going to do is we're going to judge based on audio quality, engaging hosts, quality of content. Does the content match the expectation and the production quality? Now, sometimes in a live format, you kind of have to, weigh the pros and cons of being live. But we have 2 recorded episodes tonight. And Uncle Dominic's show, he would normally normally I'd have the host tell us a little bit about the show, but he discusses these real life challenges and shares personal experiences on how to overcome them. So it's kind of this one-on-one conversation. And in this one, he's talking about what if. And so when you listen to the podcast, there's 2 parts to it. One, you want to judge. And on this show, a 5 is a great score. Don't worry about anything. Don't worry about this. Isn't like the school system where we're looking for A's, B's, and C's. What we're trying to do is find the strengths and the weaknesses of each episode. So a 5 right down the board is everything about this show met your expectations. The audio quality was good. The host was engaging. The quality. If you liked all that, great. That's a 5. Now, if the audio quality blew you away as the greatest thing you've ever heard, then maybe that's a 6 or a 7. Or If it was breaking up and crackling, maybe that's a 3 or a 4. It isn't to tell them or to penalize or to reward them. It's just to show a gauge of where their podcast ebbs and flows. So while you're judging, remember, 5s are a great score. Give a 5. And then the other part is when you do that, I'm going to ask you for a word cloud, a word association. At this point, you're going to put some words that you just like, was this engaging, inspiring? Whatever came to your mind about the show. It could be words that the host used. It could be something that inspired you in your own memories. Whatever you associate with the show, type it in here. We all often get 20, 30, 40 words in here, and it's a great resource for the host to look at, okay, here's what people are taking away from my show. So without further ado, I'm going to leave the ticker up at the bottom. You can vote for Uncle Dominic, or you go to menti.com and enter that code. So if my judges are ready, I'm ready. Let's hear our first show. I got a thumbs up. Here we go.
Hello, everybody. My name is Uncle Dominic. Thank you, Jeff Revilla, for having me on the show on Rise and Outshine. Unfortunately, everybody, I'm unable to live stream today because of our time differences and our conflicted work schedule. But that's okay. So today on my podcast, I want to focus on the word what if. And it's a mindset for a possibility of things in life. So let's find out more. Have you ever wondered if we let our imagination run wild every day in our lives? Like every day you wake up, you'll be thinking, what if? What if I do this? What if I do that? Now, I know all of us think about it, and we always think that what if could be a sign of regret. But let's think about it in a different way. I'm going to explore this with you guys today. So, since we were young, right, we have been told by our teachers, our endless schools and homeworks that we have potential to do something better, to be someone. And as a student, we have been bombarded with these ideas that we can be great, we can do all kinds of things. And as we get older, we realize this expectation kind of is too big. And sometimes we are unable to achieve those things that have been told that we could do. And therefore, it leads to depression, to sadness in life, and to loneliness. But how can we change that? I mean, how can we help ourselves and help those around us by having a little bit of what if in our life? For example, if we limit our life, for example, as soon as we come onto this earth, we can tell ourselves, like, this could be like a game, right? We have 60 years of life to live on. So in this 60 years, how can we plan on what we're supposed to do in our life? I think in this kind of mindset of thinking, it puts things in certain perspective, and it makes us want to achieve the things that we should have achieved, right? For example, if I'm in the high school life right now, I am 13 years old. I have, let's say, I'm in high school. I have 3 years of high school, right? Well, not 6 years of high school, 5 to 6 years of high school. So in this 5 or 6 years, what I should plan on, what I should learn, or what I should do every single year to achieve what I am. And then by the time we finish high school, we have achieved it, right? Instead of having the attitude that if I do this, I will be better. But there's no time frame. And when there's no time frame, I feel like if there's no time frame of doing certain things, we tend to procrastinate. And when we procrastinate, we kind of make our life become, how do I say, lazy. And we tend to get down, and when things hit us on the hard side. And we all know that life is not easy. Everyone has difficulty in a lot of things, right? So using this what if mindset, if we think about it, what if I do this today? Plan it out. What if I do that next week? Plan it out. Or put in a certain time year, like in 5 years, I'm going to achieve this. In 5 years, I'm going to achieve this or that. And then I feel like if we do this, we make things even better. Just like, for example, imagining you are studying for a test, right? We have a set deadline that the test is maybe in 3 weeks' time. And so we know in 3 weeks' time, we're going to take a test, right? A school test. So we study really hard to pass that. I mean, why can't we put that same mindset or same frame set in our daily life? Like, we have 1 week to learn how to play the guitar. That's it. We only have 1 week. So that means I have to practice really hard every day. Wouldn't that be interesting if we use that kind of mindset, right? Of course, right? Things are going to happen, like mistakes are going to happen, right? Just like when we are trying to solve a math problem and it just doesn't click, right? But have we ever thought of, let's try a different approach or different mindset? Because we know in mathematics, if there are some problems that we can solve with this formula, there's always a different way to solve it with a different formula, right? Yeah. So I think in our daily life, it's something like that. I mean, we're gonna approach life in many different perspectives, many different ways. But if we have to understand that there's many different ways to go through life, right? So because of that, if we can plan that, we can be better. I think so, right? Okay. Now, here's another thought. We all have tough days. If we let the bad day bring us down, we are going to feel sad. We are going to feel unmotivated. And we're not able to do anything, right? But if we have this what if mindset and we think that what if tomorrow is better, right? What if I try a different way of talking to this person? If your boss is angry with you did something wrong at work, you made a mistake, and you have this, and try saying, what if I approach this in a different way tomorrow? What if I talk to my boss a little bit different tomorrow? What if I teach a little bit different to my students tomorrow? And if we do this and we keep this in a frame set, just remember there's a limit. There's a limit to everything we do. So if we keep it as a limit, if 5 more years, 10 more years, I think down the road we are able to find more success in this way. So that is what I'm thinking, and this is what I'm working on today. A what if mindset. What do you guys think? If we keep what if as a regret all the time, it's not going to work, right? But if we turn it in around and put it as a limit on what we can do or time frame, and I think we can improve on it, right? So I was actually also looking up and asking for more opinions on what if. Some of my friends told me we shouldn't think of what if too much, because what if is kind of like a regret. And we think of what if things are not going to work out the way we should have a plan, like writing and saying that I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Yes, I believe that is true. I believe that is the right way for being successful. But at the same time, we need to understand that there's many different ways to reach success, and there are different kinds of success. Some people think of success as in having a lot of money. Some people having success as being a great family man. Every success is different, right? We just have to find it and change it. I believe that if we keep things in a limit, time frame limit, and put a what if mindset to our daily life, we can improve it by changing the perspective, changing the way we think. All right. Okay. So I'm going to stop right here. I want to thank everyone for joining me on my podcast. And thank you again for Jeff Revilla for having me on the show. On Rise and Outshine. Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.
All right, I'm going to bring my judges back to the main stage. Uncle Dominic, just chat with Uncle Dominic, giving us a little what-if scenarios, some mindset, some positivity. Let's go to the judges. We have scores coming in, so make sure we have the last minute to get those scores and go to menti.com and type in that code. You can vote for Uncle Dominic and give some feedback. There's the word clouds already being built, and a lot's coming in already. So, Dr. Jaime, when you saw that podcast, what did you think of Uncle Dominic?
Well, first of all, I had to remind myself that he wasn't actually doing it live. I felt like he was doing it right there, so it was very engaging. I love the content. It really had me thinking. I had to write down some of my what ifs that I've done in my life. So I loved it. It was on point and very interactive.
Yeah, I enjoyed the mindset. Can tomorrow be better? What if I treat this a different way tomorrow? And Tina, what were some of your takeaways?
When Uncle Dominic was talking about it, I was really intrigued of like changing your mindset of like the what if of thinking of the positive, thinking of the present moment, what you can do now, what you can do today, and not ruminating and questioning what if I do this, what if I do that, what if I fail doing this. Let's just do it and let's just see where it goes from there. And so I really like the concept of what he's doing, and I think it'll be amazing.
Yeah, I always call it the woulda, coulda, shoulda's. Like, I could have done that. I should have done that. I would have done that. And sometimes letting all that go, and it seemed a different mindset of approaching it forward thinking instead of the would have, could have, should have's. What can I do differently to make this a better situation tomorrow? And I really enjoyed that aspect of it. Are you ready to see those scores? Let's see how they came in. How do people think? Remember, fives are a very good score on the show. The fives mean you're meeting expectations. And if you look at how this skewed, right down the middle, 5.4. Like I said, we did have some audio and production issues with the streaming service, not with the video that Uncle Dominic gave us. So you can see the audio did skew a little bit lower, but that was probably due to the streaming issues. But the people like the hosts, it skewed over 5. The quality was there. The content matching the expectation was there. He did a really nice job. And like I said, was it live or wasn't it? Sometimes it's hard to tell with some of these recordings. And let's go to the word cloud and see what the people associate with Just Chat with Uncle Dominic. 18 responses came in, and the bigger the words, the more often they were used. And you see what if and mindset and thoughtful, problem solve, positive energy approach, ways to reach success was something he talked about. Achieve and life lessons. Very good, very positive words. Did anything else come to your mind for my judges?
I think like definitely the what if came up, and then mindset, and then just positivity, which I wish I'd already used that word now that I saw it.
Yeah.
But those three definitely stood out to me.
I definitely saw like him saying a lot of like mindset, positive, not to look in the past, regret, like to not look in the regret. I remember him saying that. And I'm like, yes, do not, because like it's part of life, of course, but not to dwell in it for so long.
Very good. That was great. And all these notes, the word cloud, the scores go back to the shows, even the recordings. If the shows want to use the recordings, I give them back the recordings. This is all for them. And my judges are here tonight. We're looking at what can we do to make this better? What can we do? Where is it the weaker? I don't even know what I'm saying at that point, but what can we do to help Uncle Dominic make a great, great show? And he's on pace. He's scoring right in that middle zone. So he's meeting all the expectations, a little bit with the streaming and the audio quality tonight, that's on me. So, people did like the host. The host came out above the 5.0. So great things for Uncle Dominic. And we hope to have him back and hopefully get him here live one time in the future here. So we have one more show tonight. The guest couldn't join us. Brent Humphries out of Cincinnati. Yelling from the Couch podcast is coming up next. And this is kind of like a sports recap. I know a lot of focus on the Cincinnati Reds, the Bengals, the Kentucky Wildcats, NFL, MLB. This is a very sports-oriented podcast. Now, we're not looking for, how much you're entertained by sports or your knowledge of sports. That's not what this show's about. We're looking at the overall quality of as a podcast and as a live show. So without further ado, let's go to our second podcast. Oh, wait a second. We have to go and get our scores set up for, let me get them set up here. Oh, there it is. Give me 1 second. That's why we edit these live shows. We get the recording down. So we're going from Uncle Dominic to yelling from the couch. And I'll put up this code here for you. Here we go. Now we're back in business. We're going to go to the Yelling from the Couch podcast. And on this one, we have the same thing. We're going to have the same type of scoring available. This will go to Brent Humphries, the host. He has a co-host as well. Yelling from the Couch, use menti.com. You can type in that code to vote. You can use the QR code that's on your screen right now. I'll give you guys a couple minutes to to log in and check it out and get set up. I'm going to keep it scrolling at the bottom. So if my judges are ready, I'm ready. Let's hear the Yelling from the Couch podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome into Yelling from the Couch. I'm Brent Humphries, joined by my co-host, Joey Mullins. Joey, how we doing today, man?
Oh, doing good, man. Doing good.
So we'll start off here how we like to start off the shows with the best thing we saw from the week and the worst thing we saw. I'll go first. My best thing I saw from the past week is the Cincinnati Bengals, who were dead in the water a few weeks ago when Joe Burrow went down with an injury, coming back and winning 2 games in a row with Jake Browning as a quarterback. Last Monday night in Jacksonville in overtime, the Bengals defeat Jacksonville Jaguars 34-31. Jake Browning threw for 354 yards. But also, more importantly, they got that running game going with Joe Mixon and Chase Brown. Mixon ran for 68 yards, 2 touchdowns. Chase Brown had 61 yards. And then this past Sunday, Indy comes into town, and the Bengals just dominated the Colts, who were in a playoff spot at 7-5. Now they're 7-6 with the Bengals. The Bengals dominated 34-14. Mixon had 79 yards. Chase Brown had 80 yards receiving. That running back room back there is getting going again like we needed it. And the Bengals' playoff hopes are still alive. Jake Browning is like the savior of the city right now, coming out and getting 2 big wins for the Bengals. They've got kind of an easy schedule the rest of the way, but that is the best thing that I saw from this past week is the Bengals are still alive for a playoff spot, Joey.
Still alive, man. Jake Browning, like you said, savior of the city, man. I mean, nobody expected it. I'm sure not. I didn't, and I'm sure you didn't either. Nobody expected him to step right in and do that good, but he's doing good. He's kept the playoff hopes alive. And Mixon, yes, finally got Mixon going, running game going. It's all starting to click. We can just get our defense back healthy completely. I think the Bengals are in good shape.
And even Sunday, the defense, they only give up really 1 touchdown because, there was a defensive touchdown scored for Indy. So, with the interception return, but it's just 7 points given up for the defense. They played really good this past Sunday, and glad that they're back on track. Joey, what is your best thing you saw from the past week?
Well, the best thing I saw was North Carolina. My Tar Heels playing against Florida State. A reputable conference at home. Game started out great. Carolina was on the roll, and all of a sudden, toward the end of the half, everything just went south. They were giving up layups. Letting Florida State step in the passing lane, not going to meet the ball. Just a lot of mental mistakes. And this is a veteran team because of the transfer portal. So they got down 14 points in the second half. And Hubert Davis called a timeout, settled them all down. And they come back out, show composure, man. Come back out and won the game by 8. And that's something we didn't have last year. We did not have that composure, leadership on the floor. RJ Davis is completely leading the team this year. No knock against Caleb Love at all. I still, no pun intended, I still love Caleb Love. But him and RJ Davis just butted heads last year, I believe. Like, who's going to be the alpha male? And now this is RJ Davis' team. And he's clearly leading the team. Harrison Ingram's doing a good job, like swing man stepping in. Cormac Ryan, he's went through a little bit of shooting slump here lately, but I like where Carolina's sitting right now. That impressed me. That's something that we didn't have last year. We get down 14 in the second half last year. It's over.
Got down 14, come back, ended up winning by 8. The first conference game of the year, first ACC game for Carolina. RJ Davis had a big game, 27 points. And Bacon had a double-double, 13 and 13. And the transfer Harrison Ingram had a pretty good game too. So good game for the Tar Heels there. For your best of the week, it's a pretty good one there.
Yep.
Now we'll move on. We'll go a little more negative, as we like to do on this show at times. The worst thing that I saw from this past week comes to us from the NFL. Oh man, the Minnesota Vikings pick up a win over the Las Vegas Raiders, 3-0. That was the final, 3-0. As Nick Mullins hits a 3-run home run in the ninth inning to win the. Oh, wait a second, hold on. This is not baseball. This is football. Man, just an ugly game overall. Joshua Dobbs, a great story after being traded from the Arizona Cardinals to Minnesota trade deadline. Gets benched during this game. He was sacked 5 times. Nick Mullins comes in and plays for the rest of the game. And just no offense at all. Aiden O'Connell threw for 171 yards. Jacobs led them with rushing 34, Alexander Madison 66. But man, not to score any points at all until the very end of the game. It set the NFL back like 60 years, man. You just don't see scores like that. And these two teams are, decent teams. I mean, they're not great. Minnesota's got a chance to make the playoffs. And, if they make the playoffs with the record and the way they're winning games like that, is all I can say on it. And just the worst thing I saw, because it's just day NFL, there's offense everywhere, and there was none to be found whatsoever, and it's won by a field goal at the end of the game. Just awful. Worst thing I saw for the week, man. Just worst.
Yeah, I mean, you can't have a receiver like Devontae Adams and not have any points like that. I mean, he's an elite receiver. You've got to find a way to get him going in the game. I mean, he's like a Tyreek Hill for the Dolphins. He's your dynamic playmaker, man. You got to find a way to get him going. Make a way to get him the ball. So, but yeah, that was very disappointing. Like it shocked me when I kept looking at the score, and like the second quarter 0-0, third quarter 0-0. I'm like, oh my, this is crazy.
And just think, you mentioned Devontae Adams, a superstar receiver. Minnesota has a superstar receiver of their own with Justin Jefferson. I know he just come back off of injury, but still, if you got those two guys out there playing receiver, you've got to come up with more than a total of 3. I mean, if anybody had the over-under on this and they hammered the under, they got paid pretty well this past Sunday with that offensive performance. It was just not good at all.
You had a no touchdown scored bet put in. You got
you won that. You almost would have won if you put no score at all, because I mean they could have went to overtime and nobody scored either, and it was a 0-0 tie, like it's a soccer match or something like that. Crazy. So Joey, I went negative here. What is your worst thing you saw from the past week?
Well, my worst thing I saw is kind of controversial. There's going to be a lot of people that'll disagree with me and say, "Oh, that's not the worst thing." Mine was the Heisman Trophy presentation. I mean, it was just somewhat of a letdown for me. I think Michael Penix should have won the Heisman Trophy. I mean, what all he's done for that team, and beat Bo Nix in Oregon twice. Undefeated. I mean, you can't. I mean, and it's just his stats are just astronomical. And that's and that's like one of them controversial things. I mean, I don't know. It just kind of disappointed me because I just kind of thought, with his stats and the way he's performed all year, I just thought it was a lot for him to win. That was the worst thing.
I agree with you. I think that Penix should have won. I think that the battle between him and Bo Nix and the big Pac-12 championship game was for the Heisman Trophy, and Penix won it straight up. But they give it to Jaden Daniels, who had a good year. He ran for his a lot of yards, passed for a lot of yards, 3,800 passing yards. Penix threw for more yards than he did, but Jaden Daniels, I guess if he wasn't on that team, instead of 9-3, they'd be 6-6 or 5-7 because they had a horrible defense. But at the same time, Michael Penix did not lose a game this year. He looked pretty good, and he, I believe, deserved to win the Heisman Trophy this past Saturday. Not saying that Jaden Daniels didn't deserve to win the Heisman, because he had the stats to do it. I mean, with his rushing numbers added along with his passing numbers. Somebody said that he was like Marcus Allen out there playing quarterback as a quarterback and running back combo. But Michael Penix, I believe, should have won it. He beat Bo Nix twice, beat Bo Nix in the Pac-12 championship game to top it off. And Bo Nix was the favorite to win the Heisman going into that game, and Penix outperformed him. I believe Penix should have won. He didn't. Bo Nix finishes third in the Heisman race, and Marvin Harrison Jr., who is a stud of a wide receiver, finishes fourth for Ohio State, and he'll be coming back next year for his – well, he's possibly coming back to school next year, which is crazy. He should probably go in the draft, and he'll be a top 5 pick, no doubt about it. Well, Joey, we'll see you next week, man. Later.
All right, we are back. I'm going to bring my judges into the show tonight. Now, this is a great example of a great podcast. I think these are two guys who know their sports. They're very into their home teams. They're into things that are happening, and it's almost like a real-time recap of the week in sports. Now, I think there's some technical issues here that I'd like to dive into that could make this a phenomenal podcast. On my notes, I heard a lot of echoing, and that's an easy fix. Some of you listening at home, if you're recording a podcast, these little things, earbuds or headphones, anything to stop your microphone from picking up your sound coming through your opponents or your co-host speakers. Headphones can take care of a lot of that echoing. And I don't know, let's go to some of my judges. See, there's a couple technical things here. I think that you clean this up, it could be a very, very engaging podcast. Anyway, any judges want to take it?
I guess I can talk first. I think, the audio quality definitely can be improved a little bit. I think also, overall, I'm not a big sports fan, but I could see this having a lot of potential, especially for individuals that do like sports and like the recaps like that. So I think maybe speaking a little bit louder or just increasing the volume a little bit, because it did seem a little far away.
Yeah, practicing that technique. Like, do I get close to the microphone? Do I get back? And being consistent with that technique. Once you figure out how you like the way you sound and you're coming through, technique plays a lot into what's happening. Tina, what were some of your takeaways?
I also agree too. The audio was a bit rough for me to listen, because I had to zoom in or go in to hear what did they say again. It was really hard for me to hear, because like you said, there was a lot of echo and a lot of glitches where I couldn't really hear everything that they were saying. But granted, I'm not into sports either, so I could see how in a community that loves sports, this is great, because what I love is it was storytelling. It was just you're just sharing what you loved this week and what you did not like this week, and you're like, I'm here, I'm chilling, hanging out, and I love that fluidity and organic of that, and so that's one of the things that I love listening to, even though I'm not a big fan of sports, but just the bigger scheme of things, and so yeah.
Yeah, certainly very knowledgeable about everything that happened in the past week. I mean, they were hitting all the beats of this is what happened. Even the score of the one game, was this a baseball game? There's even little humorous things in there. But I think that improving headphones, getting that echoing out, those little things can take this to the next level. if you're ready, let's go to those scores and see if some of the votes, match what my judges are saying and myself are saying tonight. And if you look at what's come in here, we've had some votes come in, and we had the audio quality came in at about a 4, and same with the production quality. So now I know that there's some issues tonight with live streaming, but I also listened to this prior to running it on the show tonight. And like I said, this echoing is an easy fix. I think that if they work on that audio quality could be phenomenal, and it could match the content. Because if you look at the content matching expectations, hey, this is a sports podcast. Well, you delivered on that. You actually over-delivered on that, coming in at a 6. That's a very high score on this show. Your quality was good. We know that your subject matter. The hosts were good back and forth, like Tina was saying. But I think these couple technical issues, really, that's what the show's called, Rise and Outshine. How do we go to the next level? And I think for you on this particular show, that audio quality has to be top priority. And the little bit of echoes and the clicking and some of the connections, and I get it, the irony that we're having connection issues tonight. Yes, but this could be could be a much, much better show, and just those little tiny tweaks can take you over the top. Let's see what the word cloud came in at. We had 19 responses. It was organized and interesting. Football, we found out that you can use emojis on the word cloud, which we didn't know. So a couple footballs came in. Sports, the echo came in. Like people echo. Now I trolled a little bit because I'm from Pittsburgh, so I had to write Pittsburgh in on there. Touchdown, faster pacing is something too. There was some delays, I think, between the exchanges. So keeping that pace up and going more back and forth. I think I also felt at times where it was just, I would say everything I want to say, and then your co-host would say everything they want to say, and then it would go back to you said everything. So, some more interaction back and forth between the two. I think that's a great point from one of the people listening at home. More back and forth. But all in all, I think you're on the right pace. You know your stuff. And I think just a couple technical things, and you're going to be off to the races on this one. A sports pun. And well, that's going to wrap it up for tonight. One last time, I'd like to really thank my judges. I can't believe I completely appreciate you being here tonight, and I can believe how much I appreciate you. Dr. Jaime, let's start with you one more time. Let's hear how we can connect with you and make sure everybody knows how to connect with you.
Of course. Just go to my website at raygoza-consulting.com. And if you want to hear my podcast, Finding the Unicorn in You, feel free to see it on pretty much any major podcast platform.
Excellent. And to Tina.
And you can find me on Instagram and my website as well at tinaohuang.com, and the same handle on my Instagram as well. And like Dr. Jaime's, you can find my podcast on any podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple, you name it, and you'll see it. So thank you.
Sounds good. I'll have all those links for my judges and my guest shows tonight into the show notes. Let's hear that theme music.
We're asking the experts, we're all on a mission to rise in the